Hi, my name is Gerard, and today I want to discuss the three types of persuasive appeals, um, and how they relate with the videos posted with the assignment. So the three appeals are logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos is a element that's used in speech making argumentation that moves to relate and connect to the audience's reasoning and logic. It is employed through the use of logical argument principles such as inductive and deductive reasoning, cause and effect, and analogical reasoning. In fact, it is the last three argumentative principles I listed that I noticed specifically while watching this assignment's first clip. The subject woman approaches her target on the bench with the friendly greeting. Then she immediately goes on to advance a cause and effect statement where she said, "Amanda, it would be a mistake to think that there will be no consequence to you telling lies about the president." End quote. Already, by her saying this, she evoked a sense of reasoning within her based on her actions that she had done and her addressing her in that way. But she goes on with her argument and she begins to use deductive reasoning as well, in the sense that she's giving her perspective on Amanda's current situation and the guarantee of poor outcomes if she does not comply with the suggestions that she herself is offering. So she goes on to say, "I'm only here to warn you because you should know what could happen. It could be hard for you to find employment. Your face would be everywhere. People will associate you with the sex scandal. All kinds of information about you would easily become available to the press. For example, you had 22 sexual partners that we know of. I'll give you some free advice. Hand in your resignation and pack up your dog and your things and get in your car and go." End quote. And after this, she decided to add on to her argument as well, using analogical reasoning from thereafter, when the subject that she was talking to responded to her saying, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person." And she went on to say, "Do you know who else was a good person? Monica Lewinsky." And she was telling the truth, but she got destroyed. And this statement, I felt, used analogical reasoning through the comparing of her situation to the similar case of Monica Lewinsky's. It caused the target so much mental distress that she actually had to walk away from the situation. So, hence being effective. The next element of persuasion that I want to talk about is pathos. Pathos is a principle of focusing emotion to influence the mind and hearts of the audience and to persuade them towards the speaker's cause. By using real-life experiences and emotional appeals such as pride, sympathy, anger, humor, shame, and fear to try and create greater understanding backed by emotional feeling. So, pathos was a focal element that I felt was used in the second video. When the woman addressed the Supreme Court, she made a statement that race really is a variable in the eyes of the law in America. The judge quickly snapped a response at her with immediate disregard of the worth of her statement. He just did not think it was worth the time of her case. And yet he did not realize she had strategically made the statement for him, saying, "These are not my words, Justice Strickland. They are yours." She made this emotional appeal to the judge by citing the validity of her argument by using his own prior statement, that of which embodied the same emotions and message of her trial for the client she was representing. She triggered shame within the judge immediately and also immediately grasped the attention of the audience. She used this as a precedent to set the emotional tone to defend the right to fair trial for all citizens through citing the statutes in place are not fulfilling that which is guaranteed to the citizens. So that's how I felt pathos was intertwined into the second speech. And the last element of persuasion that I'll be focusing on is ethos. This is the principle which uses credibility as a basis for persuasion in an argument. In the third video, we have Michelle Obama, and she's making her speech. She uses her social status as a first lady to endorse Hillary Clinton in her speech. She has heavily incorporated the principle through constantly referencing her times at the White House and using relatable stories of personal parental anecdotes that refer back as far to Obama's first inauguration. And it speaks of a time where she was talking about parenting, and that when on that day the only thing she could think with everything going on is what have we done, in the sense of her children. She goes on to explain the statement by saying she knew the time in the White House would define her children, and that both her and Barack would have to step up as parents. She uses the same principle of that anecdote to carry the narrative of the rest of the speech, which is that we need to choose someone that will care for this country as if it is their own child. This person being Hillary Clinton. Michelle used ethos in this instance by citing her established credibility as a great and loving mother, as well as focusing on the time period of her anecdote to the beginning of his first term, or him being Barack Obama, and her great social influence at that time. And it also could have possibly subconsciously been making note to the audience of the duration of time she has spent in the White House, and possibly causing them to also reflect on her actions from the point in time she had mentioned till when the speech was made. So after reviewing all the clips and analyzing them, I personally feel that the message in the first clip is the most powerful and inarguable in general, because it was made through logic. I believe that this is the best mode of persuasion, because logic is constructed if it is constructed properly, and if rebuttals are correctly anticipated and addressed, it is most likely to cause a conception of change action, lifestyle, or mindset, because the audience has a greater likelihood of their whole system of logic and reasoning being put in question. So that is if they're that radically against your topic. But I just feel like it has the greatest potential for just a mental rethinking of your audience in regards to the topic. I feel that if you have the credibility to use ethos on a subject, then by all means, more power to that speaker. But for those who have no established sense of public credibility, I feel it is better to either focus on one element in your argument or to thoroughly fuse both logos and pathos, depending on the information and general topic at hand. I do feel it is not good to use too many appeals, or just to use too many appeals, too many principles, because depending on the information and topic at hand, I feel you can cause some form of confusion in your audience for what the intended emotion actually is and what the message you're actually trying to get across with your speech. So they will likely not know how to feel after hearing your speech if you have too much going on. So I feel that one or two, probably two, just to more solidify your speech, is a good number. And here is my my speech in regards to my plan for what sort of reformation we need. So it starts like this. Do you ever get fear for your life when you are approached by a police officer? If not, maybe you should reconsider and be more cautious. Law enforcement in the U.S. killed 1,098 people in 2019, 24% of which were black. And in 2019, there were only 27 days in the whole year where police did not kill someone, according to mappingpoliceviolence.org. So Does this make you reconsider your prior answer? If not, then maybe me inform you that according to reports from the Department of Justice, since 2016, police kill between 100 to 200 people each year in California alone. And this is according to calmatters.org's list. If that doesn't make you reconsider your answer, then is Matthew Tucker something that will? Is Matthew Tucker under that last statistic? A young black man who had his life taken away from him in Temecula, California on May 4th, 2016 by police officers responding to a call that Matthew was going to try and commit suicide and that they needed assistance to de-escalate him. Instead of doing this, officers opened fire on Tucker, who was emotionally distraught and did not correspond to police orders to drop the knife he was holding. Without attempting to calm the child or non-lethally subdue him, they just opened fire. So, this information coming from change.org. And instead of Matthew taking his own life, the police took it for him when they were the ones that his family had called for help. I once again quote mappingpoliceviolence.org, where they report that 99% of police killings in 2013 to 2019 have not resulted in any criminal charges on officers. And with videos and stories surfacing more and more every day of horrifying encounters with the police, it is evident now more than ever that we need to take action against our corrupt law enforcement system. There's both societal and personal courses of action that we all must take in order to make change to better our future. The first step to change is when the collective I feel think for themselves. I think we can encourage this through better non-politically biased education. And the other thing I also propose for change is that we start getting up, speaking up, and taking action to create a political shift to defund the police and reform the entire law enforcement system. This includes the training required of officers and officials of the law. We also can all do our part by signing petitions and supporting Black Lives Matter organizations that are assisting protesters that are helping to bring much needed attention to the long due change needed in our country. We as citizens should not have to fear for our lives when interacting with those employed to protect us. Don't settle. Our children deserve better. Thank you.